Black dudes ain't the only one that do what Ime Udoka did.
These things have happened before.
These things have happened on many occasions before in professional sports. White male executives doing what they doing.
Welcome to the Black Magic channel. So a while back, I posted a video, I believe it was over the summer, when the story broke about Boston Celtics coach Udoka. It was a situation where Udoka was involved in an affair with a married woman on the Boston Celtics staff, and he was suspended. He was suspended without pay, and they replaced him with an interim head coach. And if y'all remember, Stephen A. Smith was one of the few people on television that was questioning why Udoka was being named and the other party, the woman that took place in the affair, wasn't being named. And Udoka was being suspended from the Boston Celtics, and the woman that took place in the affair was not being suspended from the Boston Celtics for having a workplace romance or a workplace affair. And so Stephen A. Smith at the time was actually one of the few people that was actually questioning it. And rightfully so, because Ime Udoka was not a married man. You know, they tried to spin the narrative and try to present Udoka like he was married to Nia Long. But Nia Long and Udoka were not married. And that actually came out recently, or it came out after the story that Udoka and Nia Long were in a open relationship. And so they had an understanding. You know, so ESPN and the NBA did everything in their power to try to hide this woman's identity and shift all the blame to Ime Udoka for having an affair, despite him being the one that's not married. And the only reason why this story came to light, because the woman that was on the staff, because the woman that Udoka was having an affair with, her husband hired a private investigator, and through the Ring doorbell, he was able to see Udoka at his house. And so this story kind of came back into the limelight because the Boston Celtics have officially decided to part ways with Udoka and promote the interim head coach. And so they decided to make that official the other day. And so by doing so, that sets a major precedent, especially as it pertains to sports entertainment. And Stephen A. Smith is definitely somebody who is smart enough to understand this, and he's smart enough to read the writing on the wall. And so this is a story that's pretty close to Stephen A.'s heart, and he's going to be very passionate about this particular story because it's called Self-Preservation. Stephen A. Smith is somebody who's looking out for his own interest down the line. Stephen A. Smith has been in the world of sports entertainment for over 20 years now. And during that time, you better believe he's been knocking down everything in between. Allegedly. You know, co-workers, staff, etc., you name it. You know, it's an endless possibility for especially, you know, male public figures that are in the limelight. You know, we just saw this with TJ Holmes with Good Morning America. He had several women on his roster at Good Morning America. You know, he was doing his thing over there, you know, as they all do. But it seems to be when it comes to a so-called black man and a so-called white woman, they're trying to make it that no sex is consensual. You know, if Kelly Robach from Good Morning America, if she wanted to, you know, if TJ Holmes hadn't have made that a romantic relationship, you know, if he had made that a one-time wham, bam, thank you, ma'am kind of situation, and Kelly Robach from Good Morning America was somehow hurt by that, if she wanted to, no, she could have came out and made TJ Holmes' life a living hell. You know, not only would TJ's wife would have left him, but at the same time, she could have came out and said TJ forced himself on her, and would have been her word against his. And that's all they needed, if she wanted to. You know, but TJ Holmes, to his credit, you know, however you want to look at it, I'm definitely not giving him credit for cheating on his wife or whatever the case may be. He was smart enough to know that, you know, Kelly Robach is a white woman, also a co-anchor, and has the power to make my life a living hell. So the situation happened, you know, however it happened, and he was smart enough to not treat it like exactly what it probably was for him, which was just a booty call. You know, a really wise man would have stayed away from that situation altogether, especially when you got a beautiful family at home and everything seemed to be on an up and up. A smart man and a wise man would have stayed away from that situation altogether, like I said. But at least he was smart enough to not treat it like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Because now he would have been looking at 5 to 10 years, plus he wouldn't have got his money from Good Morning America. And so Stephen A. Smith is going to be making his plea, so to speak, in this next clip I'm going to show you. I'm going to go ahead and let the clip play. And before I do, make sure you guys pay attention to the tonality and the passion in which Stephen A. Smith is speaking. He sounds like a man that is speaking for himself and not necessarily speaking for former Boston Celtics coach Udoka. I'm going to go ahead and let the video play, and then I'll chime in.
But the whole stuff about having a press conference and alluding to this or that, other people were protected. Ime Udoka wasn't. He ain't married. It's none of our business. That's my position. It's none of my business. It's none of our business about him. It's none of our business about her, whoever she is, and her family situation, whatever that is. It's none of our business. And the fact that this became a national story where you heard numerous narratives being thrown out there is egregious. And what the Boston Celtics did in terms of how they handled it, it was either sloppy or intentionally malicious to throw this man under the bus and potentially ruin his career. I don't like it. I never have. And let me tell you something. I'm being kind, and boy, are y'all lucky I'm over FCC airwaves because of the stuff that I really want to say about what they did to him.
Stephen A. Smith is definitely one of those guys that's looking around and like, his days might be numbered. If he gets out of line, I can see a stable of women, coming through and alleging what he could have done over the 20 years plus that he's worked at ESPN and some of these other networks that he's been involved with. I can only imagine, some of the relationships that he's had back in the day, whether it be co-workers, co-anchors, or whatever the case may be. Some even bring into question the relationship between him and Molly after Jalen Rose and Molly Quorum got divorced. Some are even questioning the relationship that Stephen A. Smith and Molly Quorum have now. Some are saying that they've been romantically involved. And if I had to guess, I would say that probably is the case. I'm pretty good when it comes to body language and picking up on different cues. And if you watch ESPN, I don't watch it a great deal, but from the clips that I've seen of them two together, you can definitely tell there's some sort of chemistry that's going on between the two. And Molly Quorum is another one you don't want to mess with. She can bring those tears out at the drop of a hat when she wants to.
Molly, go ahead.
LeVar,
before I get back to him.
LeVar, can I switch gears with you because I have a question here?
You can switch gears with me anytime.
Has any of the Ball family members actually reached out to you? Has LeVar reached out to you at all to personally apologize?
I think Jalen would have just liked if he had apologized to me publicly.
So a lot of these so-called black entertainers are sort of getting their wake-up call right now. And so he's kind of reading the room, so to speak, and he's seeing what's going on. And don't think for 1 second that he's making a passionate plea on Udoka's behalf, because this is more so, like I said earlier, it's about self-preservation. That's all it is when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith is only pro-black when it suits him. Other than that, he pretty much does what his bosses tell him to do. And that's something he said many a times out of his own mouth. He said he wakes up every day thinking about how he can make his bosses happy. So this little passionate rant by him was him trying to get ahead of whatever situation that may come his way down the line. And so let me know what you guys think on this one. Definitely want to hear your comments and thoughts on this, and make sure you like and subscribe to the channel as well. And as usual, peace and chaos.